Unforgiveness made me sick for years. You don't want to be ill behind something you can't do anything about. You can't do anything about what someone has already done to you in your past. The only cure for unforgiveness is forgiveness.
Welcome to Rooted and Rising. We focus on becoming whole through the mind, body, and spirit together. My name is Lamisa, and I would like to welcome Brenda Henderson. You're an author, a founder of your own ministry, and an evangelist.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So we're going to jump right into it because we have a lot of information to cover today. So how did these pieces of your puzzle all come together?
As an adoptive child, I went through quite a few things. And I felt like I was not in control, but being controlled. And through the time that I was actually going through my unforgiveness part of my life, I blamed everything on my mother. I went through some other things that compacted the ability for me to be unforgiving. And it was only by prayer and meditation and the grace of God that he showed me that I really hadn't forgave her. I told her on her deathbed, "Mom, I forgive you." And later on, maybe about 6 months later, I heard the voice of God say, "No, you haven't." I argued with him. I said, "Yes, I have." I went to her bedside and I told her I forgave you for every discouraging word you gave me, for ever making me feel inferior. I said, I told her that. He said, "But you didn't really forgive her." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because everything that I allowed to happen to you that's disagreeable to you, you blame it on her." That's how it came together.
So what does evangelism mean to you?
Well, it means that I'm a seed planter. So with Know Your Worth Ministries, God gave me that, and He enabled me to plant things like knowing that unforgiveness is an illness, knowing your worth, knowing how you should put Him first, then yourself. So all of that came into play inside of me, a part of my evangelism ministry, by bringing other women into the fold of Christ. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not saved. It's just that they don't know how to come into the fold.
Okay. Can you share a story of a moment you see unforgiveness start manifesting in other places in your life?
There were several people. Well, in 2020, my book, Mom Ain't Always Right, was published. And pretty soon after that, I had a YouTube channel. And on the YouTube channel, it was called Brenda Henderson Speaks, and it was about unforgiveness. I received a lot of comments from people that said, "Well, I can't do it. I don't care what you say. I'm not going to do it. You don't know what happened to me." And I would evangelize by saying, "And you don't know what really happened to me."
Wow.
Through a lifetime. Now, what may have occurred to you, I say, and you don't have to expose it. I said, but what may occur to you may be recent. Maybe something that happened last year. But what happened to me was through a lifetime.
Escape to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and reconnect with yourself at our Feed Your Soul Wellness Retreat happening April 29th. Imagine yourself surrounded by healing waters, expert guidance, and a community dedicated to real wellness. This is your moment to root and rise. Just lock in your spot and save with our early bird registration. opening November 1st through November 30th. Set your clocks as there are limited space available. Now, back to the episode.
Ms. B, can you share a story of a moment that tested your faith but ultimately strengthened your convictions?
What tested my faith was I was married to my son's father, and he was career Navy. He's gone a lot. And at the time, my son was small. And of course, you being military, you know that allotment checks were received and things like that to help. Well, one day, my car, I was actually teaching in Corpus Christi because that's where I'm from. And my car broke down. And a young fellow, the name escapes me, I think, I can't remember his name. But a young fellow saw me trying to get my car started. And he said, "Ma'am, what seems to be the problem?" I said, "Sir, I don't know. I know nothing about cars." So he looked under the hood. He said, "It looks like you have a belt broke." He said, "I tell you what, my dad's car repair is just right down the street. I'll take your car down there. Let him look at it and then come back and pick you up." I said, "I don't know how much that's going to cost." I said, "But I'm on a budget." And he says, "It won't be more than $50 if it's what I think it is." So I waited at the school. He went down there and somebody brought him back up because his car was still there. He said, "It's just as I assumed, except that he's busy, but he says he's going to stay late and do it. So let me give you a ride home and you can come pick me up." I said, "Well, you won't have to pick me up. My mom will take my son and I, you know." He said, "Well, okay." He said, "Then when you get to school tomorrow, I'll have your car. If he gets done earlier or anything, I'll let you know." I said, "Okay." So I came on home and told my mother what was going on, and this young guy had a dad with a car repair and all that. So what tested my faith is I went to the store, and while I was gone, my husband called. And my mother told my husband, I walked in as I heard her. She told my husband, "Don't send her no more money because she's letting another man drive her car and these sorts of things." And I thought, what? So when I got on the telephone, he said, "Don't worry about it. I know it's not true." I said, "No, it is not." That tested my faith. But God says to me, he says, she is dealing with her own unforgiveness. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. She's dealing with her own unforgiveness.
Yes.
Because some things obviously had happened to her that she never forgave. And, back in the day, grown people didn't tell children nothing.
Exactly.
I don't even care if you were an adult. You didn't know they passed. They were not going to reveal that. So through the years, I've put things together.
Right.
Patched from relatives. And sure enough, that's what it was.
Wow. So what biblical passages serves as the foundation of your ministry mission?
Okay, well, this one is so, and let me tell you, Lamisa, it popped out at me, Matthew 6:14-15, for if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive their trespasses, neither will I forgive you.
Wow.
And that's what I based the book on. And I cried when I read it because, we read our favorite scriptures. I mean, I don't know about nobody, but, I have favorite scriptures, girl, but when I was writing this book, I said, I know you got a word for me. Where is that word? And that was it.
Amen.
Girl, whoo, I cried like a baby because he said, Now, you cannot forgive her if you want to. I'm doing Brenda Henderson version. And then when you get to the gate, I won't forgive you. I said, oh, I can't have that. I can't have that. Lord, I can't have that. I have struggled too long and too hard and tried to do the right thing to have that. He said, okay. I wanted to know if I didn't forgive her. And like I said, I told her I forgive you. I said, if I didn't forgive her, then what do I do? I thought I forgave her. But you say I didn't forgive her because I blame her for everything that goes wrong and she's gone on. So what do I do? He said, you're right about it. He said, you tell other people what you went through. And then you tell them at the end what I told you.
What has the healing process been like in writing the book and forgiving your mother?
Oh, that is like a boulder lifted off my shoulder, because once I wrote the book and I started distributing the book and I started getting feedback on the book like, oh my God, this is my life. See, you never know what other people go through. This is my life. Oh, I need this for my daughter because we're having this kind of relationship. So it lifted a boulder off my shoulder, because then I knew I was being obedient to the call.
Amen.
That's what he asked me to do. Just be obedient. No, you don't understand it. No, you don't want to do it. No, you don't want nobody to know your childhood. No, you don't. But do it.
Right. So how would this tie in to preparing the next generation of leaders in your ministry to carry the vision forward?
A lot of people really won't read. They may buy a book. It may seem interesting to them, but they'll never complete it. They won't really read it. So I prepared them through experience, through stories, through prayer, through fasting, through consecrating, through supplication. When you come to me with an unforgiveness issue, I start telling you how to pray. Lord, forgive my unforgiveness. I need you to do that because I'm sick. Unforgiveness made me sick for years. I was sick in my heart, unforgiving in my mind. I was sick. And so I tell them, I said, you don't want to be ill behind something you can't do anything about. You can't do anything about what someone has already done to you in your past. They have gone, right, they have gone on with their life. They happy-go-lucky going to Belize in Hawaii. And you over here, sick. The only cure for unforgiveness is forgiveness. And I mean total forgiveness. That if you saw the person and you know that person really damaged you, you would still be able to smile and say, well, how are you today? Without even thinking about what they did to you. It's not easy. It takes training.
What are the first steps in unforgiveness when you really feel wronged by someone?
The first step is to forgive you. You got to forgive you first. And what does that mean? That means that you haven't forgiven you for not forgiving them. It sounds like double talk, but that's the process. You have to say, okay, all these years I haven't forgiven so-and-so. I haven't forgiven him or her. I have not. So all these years I've done this. I need to forgive myself for hanging on to that long. You got to forgive you first. And then that way God will clear the way for you to forgive the other individual.
What does success in your ministry look like?
Being alive every day to talk about it. Being alive every day to talk about what you're worth. Being alive every day to tell you you need to forgive. To me, that's success if I just help one woman. One. Or male. But if I just help one, then that, in a sense, I don't even call it success. I call it the gift of obedience. If I help one, if they read this book and realize, oh my God, oh my goodness, I have felt like that. Things like that have been done to me. And they go to that sister or brother or cousin or mother and say, you know what? You might not have known it, but I've been hanging on to this for a long time. And I'm ready to let it go. It's got to start with you.
So, what led you to write a book with such an emotional, provoking title?
It's because even though my characters are fictional names, because I can't write if I didn't experience it. I'm not one of those, how do you say it, professional writers that can just sit down one day and say, okay, I'm going to write about. No, I got to feel it in here. And I know when it's time for me to write because he'll push my head like this. And I say, oh no, I thought I was through. And the title come from my mother, God rest her soul, always said, I'm always right. I'm always right. No, you can't question me. You can't blame me. You can't blame anything on me because I'm always right. So it came to me, well, Mama ain't always right. You're not always right. Because to this day, she did not know that it took me 40 years to forgive her. That she messed up my mentality and my ability to forgive for 40 years.
What is the significance of the book's title, Mama Ain't Always Right, in the contents of Christian faith?
Well, in the context of Christian faith, the Bible teaches us honor thy mother and thy father. You still have to honor them. Even though there were some verbally, emotionally, and physically abusively things done to me as a child, she was still my mom. And so on the Christian realm of things, you still have to honor them, but you also have to find a way for whatever's done to you not to affect you in its entirety. In other words, an example would be when you were a child, maybe, we used to get whoopings. I don't know about nobody else. But when you were a child and you got a whooping and your mother told you what was wrong, da-da-da-da-da, well, when the whooping was over, it was over. You didn't go back and reflect on the whooping because it hurt too bad. That's the way you need to treat unforgiveness. When it's done and you forgive, it's over. Let it alone. Stop bringing it back up. If your mama told you don't cook no popcorn while I'm gone, and you received a whooping because you did that, and I'm not going to do it no more, mama, but then she leaves again and you do it again, let it go. You have to forgive and let it go. And a lot of people used to say, I read several books that learning how to forgive and forget, you never forget. You don't. But I think the metaphor for the forget is let it go. Forgive them and let it go. I don't say they have to move in with you, that you have to have lunch with them once a week, but let it go. Get over it. Because if you don't, it eats at you slowly, like some sort of disease, like a cancer. And it eats at you and eats at you. And then I became very untrusting of everyone. Because I couldn't trust her. And that was my mom. I couldn't trust her not to harm me physically. I couldn't trust her not to harm me emotionally. So I grew up very untrusting.
Feeling stuck in your wellness journey? You're not alone. That's why I created the Embodiment Collection. This collection includes 8 digital products we've created to help you embody these traits and connect with your best self. You can buy one, mix and match, or purchase the deluxe, which includes all embodiment guides. Head to LamisaWellnessCollective.com/store or click the link below to shop now. Let your wellness transformation start today. Now, back to the episode.
So, how did Bay's childhood experience affect her relationship with her spouse and her approach to motherhood?
Okay. That's a good one. Because God sent me who he wanted me to have. I had the perfect husband. He understood my mother. He treated her kindly. He understood me and my emotional drawbacks. And my son, I never let on. All he knew was grandma and grandpa, you know. Now, of course, she loved him to death. Treated him way better than she ever treated me. Because one day she told me I had him for her anyway. She said those words. It affected my marriage when he was away from me. And I feared her. Let you understand, if you can. 18 years old, come back home from junior college. Before I left, I always had chores every day. Before she left for work that morning, she said, I want you to clean up the kitchen, whatever, but don't move the skillet with the grease in it. Okay. I came home. I did what I was supposed to do. I didn't move the skillet with the grease in it. So when she comes in, she says, I thought I told you to clean up this kitchen. I said, well, I did. Well, why is that skillet of grease still sitting there? I said, well, you told me to set it there. Bam! It was the next morning when I woke up. She backhanded me at 18 and knocked me out cold on the floor. And obviously, she lifted me up and put me in my bed. And when I woke up, excuse me, she was crying over me, saying, Lord, let my baby be all right. So when I opened my eyes, I said, what happened? I said, I'm late for school. She said, no, the day is over. You didn't go. I said, well, what happened? She said, you called me a lie. And I dare not say anything, but I said, okay. Yeah, you told me that I told you not to move that skillet when I know I did. I said, okay. So that part, with him always being a gone, didn't affect my marriage. It wasn't until he retired and was home all the time, taking my attention away from her. So, and this is my fault. You know, after you get out of the military, you're gifted with a GI Bill and you can go to school. And he had told me, he said, when I get out, I'm going to go to school so our finances won't change that much. So he had been out maybe almost a year, retired. And so I said to him, I thought you said you were going to go to school. He never said a foul word, but this time he said, I'm just not ready to go yet. So, okay. So what did I do? My mistake, I told her. And she had told me all along that we were married, that he didn't really love me, he didn't love his child. And that was so that I would cater to her and stay with her. I didn't see that till much later on. I'm young, I'm 26 or so. And so she told me she worked for a lawyer, Corpus Christi, very high esteemed lawyer. And she told me, maybe about 2 years later, and you know, you feel like you can talk to your mom about anything. I couldn't. But I didn't know that. Okay. So I talked to her about something else. It wasn't no big deal, whatever it was. So she came home one day and she said, if you don't divorce him, then I'm going to have the lawyer to draw up papers and I'm going to gain custody of that baby because he is with parents that don't love him. I said, that is not true. Oh, you calling me a lie again? So I shut up. So it was fear that made me divorce the best man I ever had in my life. And for the longest time, let me go back to forgiveness and unforgiveness. For the longest time, I thought God didn't forgive me for that. The reason why I haven't been fortunate since at all. And he showed me, yeah, I forgave you, but what you don't realize is what you did to him. You had to know what you did to him for no reason.
Earlier, you said that your mom stated that you had your son for her. So, how did that make you feel when she said that?
Scared to death. Scared to death. Scared to death. I seen her do things without going into a lot of history. But I seen her do things that a normal woman wouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? And whenever she put her mind to do something, it was going to be done. I watched her. Her sister moved from the valley to Corpus Christi next door to her. I saw her with my own eyes take a butcher knife to her own sister. I was scared to death. So I had to make some kind of trumped up reason that we couldn't be married no more. And of course, I used the reason that the income was failing, yada, 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 and you wouldn't go to school. And I will remember it the rest of my life as I saw him walk down the stairway. We were living in a townhome, and tears were just rolling down his face.
When you say she took a butcher knife to her sister, what does that mean?
That means she would have hurt her. Regardless of the fact that it was her sister, she would have hurt her. And I think the only reason she didn't hurt her is that she turned around, went in her house, and came back out with a hammer. Yeah, she would have hurt her. I tried to tell him, but he was too hurt. I tried to tell him why, and I don't think he believed it. Because when he was around her, she treated him like a son. So I don't think he really truly believed me. But what can you do? I told him, I said, I shouldn't have never told her. And now she's saying that if I don't do it, she's going to take the baby from us. Oh, she's not going to do that. She's not like that.
So, how does the truth that no one is perfect, only God is, become center to Bay's healing?
It comes central to being healing because you realize that is the nucleus of forgiveness. She wasn't perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We all have sin and come short of the glory, or else he wouldn't have died for us. So I already know perfection was not there. It still didn't mean it didn't hurt. It still didn't mean I didn't have a hard time not thinking about it. It still didn't mean I didn't have a hard time not blaming her. But in the process of time, I learned that seriously, she just didn't know any better. She just didn't know any better. She couldn't have children. I was adopted. And she adopted me from her half-sister. So she couldn't have children. She had never been a mom. She had never been through that. So God had to show me that she was doing the best she could, or that I'll say that she knew how to do.
How does your book help readers distinguish between honoring their parents and honestly confronting the wounds that need healing?
The reader should be able to distinguish between honoring their parents, because first of all, that's in his commandment. And to learn or to receive the healing is you've got to have the mindset that says, I'm going to make it out all right. God loves me. He loves me. And regardless of what somebody else's issues are, he loves you enough to get you through fire, brimstone, cancer, you name it. He can do it. So the book lets you know through the process of time, from incident after incident after incident, at the very end, she had a letter. This is in the book, fictional. But at the end, she had a letter that she had written to her daughter, explaining why she was the way she was.
So, what advice do you give to your readers who want to forgive but feel their mothers has never acknowledged the hurt, apologized, or changed?
The advice is this: she may never apologize. Honestly, forgive her anyway. It's that simple. But remember now, the process is forgive you for not forgiving her. Let's get that straight. And then when you get all right with yourself, you can forgive anybody. So that's the process. Stop holding on to it. Let it go. It's already done. It's over with. You can't relive it. I could go on and on and on. But it's not going to change anything. It already happened. So why are you in the presence being heartbroken from the past? God wants you to live one day at a time. Each day, He gives us new mercies every morning. So if we can receive new mercies every morning, why are we going to pull up a weed from 1992? Let it go. And like I said, it is not easy. It's a process. But in the end, you just have to let it go. I forgive you. I really do. I really do. I really, really, really do. Lord, help me. However you talk to Him. However you talk to Him. Lord, I really do want to forgive. I really do. But you got to want to do it. He knows when you don't want to do it. That's what I did the first time. That's why He said, no, you didn't. I did forgive her. I told her on her deathbed, Mama, I forgive you. But what's in your heart? You say, I see your heart.
So, is there anything else you'd like the people to know before we go?
I would like that whomever may listen to this podcast, you can do it. Don't tell yourself you can. You can. Through Christ, all things are possible. First of all, want to do it. Sincerely want to do it. A lot of times you don't want to do it because you don't want to see the reaction. Because you can tell somebody you forgive them and they might say something like, so, and? Meaning they didn't accept it. But you did. You were obedient. You did what God told you to do. So now you have the legal right to let it go. I just want you to know I've been hanging this over my head for 20 years and I'm letting it go. I love you, girl, but I forgive you. What did I do? It's not important. What's important is that I forgave you. Simple.
Thank you so much, Miss Brenda, for coming on. It has truly been an opening eye experience, and I just want to say thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.